Of beams in bending. The actual behavior of the beam depends whether it is allowed to reach its plastic moment capacity or not. If the beam is prevented from local and lateral buckling, the beam reaches its full plastic capacity with plastic hinges formed at critical points of maximum bending moment, which is described in plastic analysis. If beam is prevented from local and lateral buckling, what happens is the beam reaches its full plastic capacity. That means it can form the plastic hinges the point where the maximum bending moment occurs, and this has been studied in plastic analysis also. See, the beam is not restrained laterally. If it is a laterally or unsupported beam, then the beam can undergo elastic lateral torsional buckling and can fail due to instability with large lateral deflections, rotations and warping. So there is two things. The beam can fail in shear due to diagonal compression. The beam can also fail due to local effects such as web buckling, web crippling or distortion of flanges if these are not considered in the design. So this is how the beam will be behave in bending. So moving on to the next thing, design strength of laterally supported beams in bending. So beams subjected to bending moment will develop compressive as well as tensile forces, and the flange subjected to compressive force has a tendency to deflect laterally. So this out of plane bending is called as lateral bending or buckling of beams. The lateral bending of beams depends on the effective span between the restraints, that means supports, minimum moment of inertia, and its present reduces the plastic moment capacity of the section. So beams where lateral buckling of the compression flange are prevented are called as laterally restrained beams, and such continuous lateral supports are provided in two ways. First, the compression flange is connected to an RC slab throughout by shear connectors, or external lateral supports are provided at closer intervals to the compression flange so that it is a good continuous lateral support. So this bending strength of laterally supported beams are calculated using the provisions given in page 53 by knowing the plastic section modulus ZP or ZPZ. You can see in these figures here. So these are examples of laterally supported beams. So this is an RC slab, this is an I section, and you can see the shear connectors here. So this way it is laterally restrained. So this is an I section with a cross frame. So this is how it will be supported. So these supports will be provided at small regular intervals, and diaphragms also will be provided at small regular intervals. So in these three methods you can provide the lateral support. So next we shall see the design strength of laterally unsupported beams in bending. See, when beams are subjected to bending moment, it develops compressive as well as tensile force. The flange subjected to compressive force has a tendency to deflect laterally. So this out of plane bending is called as lateral bending or buckling of beams. See, lateral buckling of beams involves three kinds of deformations, namely lateral bending, twisting and warping. The lateral bending of beam depends on the effective span between the restraints, minimum moment of inertia, and can reduce the plastic moment capacity of the section. The same thing was applied for laterally supported beams also. So this bending strength of laterally unsupported beams can be obtained from page 54 by knowing the plastic section modulus ZPZ or ZP. So next, speaking of shear strength of steel beams. Shear force always exists with bending moments, and the maximum shear stress has to be checked with the shear yield stress. You are aware of that. Shear stresses can become important if the depth of the beams are restricted and when the beams are subjected to large concentrated loads near the supports. So these two particular points you have to take care of shear stresses. The distribution of shear stress at limit state is shown below here. So this is a tau y which we will be calculating. The shear strength is expressed as tau y, that is FYW divided by root 3, where FYW is nothing but Fy yield strength of the web, and the design strength Vd is given by AV into FYW divided by root 3 divided by 1.1. So where AV is the shear area which is given in page 59, how to calculate the shear area. The web can buckle elastically or inelastically depending on the ratio of D to TW. If this ratio exceeds 67 times of epsilon, where epsilon is 250 divided by Fy, and where D is the clear depth of the web between flanges, resistance to shear buckling has to be verified. So this I'll be going in detail while discussing the problems. The shear failure can also occur due to excessive yielding of the web area if the shear capacity is exceeded. So the beam will be a higher shear condition if Vu is greater than 0.6 times of Vd, and the moment capacity of the section decreases and has to be calculated using the provisions given in page number 70. So speaking of maximum deflection, say a beam may have adequate strength in flexure and shear and can be unsuitable if it deflects excessively under service loads. So excessive deflection causes problems in the functioning of the structure. So it can harm floor finishes, cause cracks in partitions, and excessive abrasion in industrial buildings, and ponding of water also occurs in roofs. See clause 5.6.1, 5.6.1.1 and table 6 gives relevant specifications with respect to deflection. So typical maximum deflection formula for simple loadings are these. You are aware of this. If it is simply supported, there is a formula for deflection. And the second case is point load is acting at the mid span. The third is a point load at 1/3 spans. The fourth one is a cantilever with UDL. The last one is a cantilever beam with point load at the end. You need to memorize all these deflection formulas for different conditions.